Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. I think we're probably about a minute early. Oh no, look, 6, 7 seconds. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Hello, how is everybody? I'm tired. I've been teaching all day. It is exhausting and difficult behind a mask. But where should we start? What should we start with? Should we start with the fact that Thales seem to have got their Elbit Systems Hermes aircraft 900 doing all sorts of things for the police and the Coast Guard in the UK, and that has been their dream for years and years and years. The whole time I've been in history, they've been pushing that. So they'll sit them in big orbits over England, and you as an end user and Europe will buy the data, say over the channel, for instance. Oh, I know what happened over the channel today. As an aside, Sunbirds. Do you remember James May tried to fly a model glider from the UK to France years and years ago? Well, Sunbirds chucked their solar thing from France, flew it overhead England, and flew it back again today. So why he didn't think about doing that, I don't know. But they're funny enough, they're claiming a record, and yet okay, it'll be the first time that's been done. But if you look in the ArduPilot forum, someone else has flown 400 kilometers with a solar powered glider. So yeah, it's all kicking off in the solar powered glider department. But yeah, Thales orbits, big drones, big orbits. Why wouldn't we do that? Why is that a bad idea? Anyone? No. No thoughts on that.
Potentially it's got benefits, but what payloads has it got on it? Are they specific? Do you have to change it, or is it just got an absolute shed load and you can just go, right, I want it here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. and I just want you to map that area for me. It'd be nice to know what. Hopefully, we will get to find out, I'm sure, what payloads it's got, what sensors.
Well, they've got the full suite of military sensors, and I can imagine that. I can imagine the problem would be they might get too busy if you're asking it to do some work for the fire brigade, the police, and the Coast Guard. You're going to need quite a few aircraft in orbit, I think. There's always a chance if you're being rescued by the RAF or the Navy in one of their helicopters, that the aircraft will get sent off your rescue and onto the rescue of a downed military airman. Quite a rare chance, but that chance is always there. And I should imagine it's going to be hard working out who goes first with this.
Yeah, if we got one up there, is there two? Is there three? Or how many are there actually working at once? Is there one over the south, one over the north?
Yeah, I think there'd be one every 100 miles or something, wouldn't there? And Louis in the comments is just mentioning the RGB. They're going to come on next week, Louis. They're going to come on next week and talk about it. So that'll be great. But what do you know about it? Has everyone seen the RGB? Has everyone seen that?
No, if you go to the ArduPilot conference recordings, George Rinaldi did a great presentation of the projects. And he said at the time that he was going to put it on Kickstarter, and it is already on Kickstarter. So it is an H7 powered flight controller. It's a ready-to-fly drone that flies 100 grams, Bruce. So it is within your weight restrictions, Bruce, and can do autonomous and has a bunch of payloads that you can choose, including object avoidance and all that. But it's great. It's great to see this initiative going around. People at the conference were very excited with this, and it seems that it's going on. So the Kickstarter campaign is until December, I believe, and some of us at ArduPilot have already subscribed to the Kickstarter campaign.
I was just going to have a little look. I put up 45 backers or 26 backers, 12,000, 49. Here, am I actually sharing this? Yeah, I am. There it is. Let's zoom it in a little bit. So yeah, it's really just a single board aircraft then, really, isn't it? With with all the
Everything
toys.
is working. But the nice thing is that they've built it in a way that you can stack additional sensor loads. So if you want the GPS, you can stack the GPS unit. If you want the object avoidance, you stack it on top. So you can do quite a lot of permutations and only running on a single Leon battery. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
that's
one.
very cool, isn't it? 43 and 53 and 47. So there's 100 grams of the base system. Pretty tiny. So who's this actually meant for, though, Louis?
It's mostly for the guy Giorgio. They were using this for the light shows, mostly because one of the payloads they had was for the light shows, so they could do a light show with that. And they have the indoor positioning system that can also be used outdoors with the beacons, so they could do the flights of those flight demos in the sky easily with a lot of these. That's why they have those packs of 10 of these on the Kickstarter campaign. You want to start the company offering the service, then it's good to go.
And did they do the pack of 10 with the light? Did they do with the lights as well?
They don't have it here, but it should not be very hard to add the lights to the LEDs to that.
What's it showing is GPS avoidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It looks very cool. They're going to come on next week and talk about that. But thanks for reminding me about that at the moment. So, right now, what else have we seen, gentlemen? What else?
Well, we've seen another barrage of fake Mavic 3 announcements and spy pictures and all that. That is useful. We've seen the announcement that DJI is probably expecting for the government, the elections in November in US to release a new model. That's all the same. Apart from that, I believe there are some government actions all around the world.
What government actions are for or against us as a team?
I think the most obvious is that Bruce is not under arrest. He's on house arrest, but not prison arrest.
That's just slackness on the part of the New Zealand authorities. And I see your ADSB project coming to fruition there, Bruce.
Yes, it is. It's working too well, although I've been winding the gains down. It's just about ready to go now. Got the gains wound down, and now it's sort of limited to about 10 kilometres from the home point, so that's good. And so hopefully this week I'll get it up on the net and everyone can start criticising it and making their own and improving it.
Absolutely. I've seen you've had a couple of criticisms already, people mentioning multilateration and things like that. Well, yes, but no, but yes, but no, but yeah. You've got to remember Mode S is the original old-fashioned version of ADSB, if you will, pre-GPS introduction almost, because it was cheaper and hi boo bob boo. And wouldn't it be nice if all aircraft had full ADSB? Is all I'll say to that argument. Then you wouldn't have that.
If we're looking out, it's their responsibility to be visible. Conspicuity for manned aircraft is now an important thing.
Very much, very much indeed.
I would suggest that anyone looking to do that should take a look at the Open Glider Network, which you pointed me to last week.
And have you stood one up yet? Did you manage to get one in?
I've ordered the module. It comes tomorrow, so I've then got to set it up, and then I can just freak out the whole world when I chuck a an aircraft in the air and just put it as a drone and just have it. Yeah.
Well, you can freak all the glider pilots out to start with, and then if you're near somebody's ground station that receives that, either a gliding center or a pilot aware one, you can then if you near a pilot aware one, then that does get fed into 360 radar. Then I could sit and watch you here in South Africa and see what you're doing. It'd be great.
So 360. Right, I'm going to have to dig a bit further then, because if I can be seen on 360 radar, that'd be good.
Yeah, you can, as long as you're within range of one of the flight aware. Not flight aware. There's so many. One of them, pilot aware. One of the pilot aware ground stations. Yeah, you'd be seen on that. Or so if you want to make sure you're seen on that, and then if you're part of that pilot aware group, then your information would be fed back to the transmitting ones all over the place, and your position would be sent to aircraft in the air that were only equipped with, say, ADS-B. But had a pilot aware unit, and if they have a pilot aware Rosetta, I think it's called. Oh, this is dull, isn't it? If they have one on board, I'm going to find this. I'll find a link, so it's not just me talking about it.
It is kind of interesting, because at some point we're all going to have something on the drone in 2 years' time, and this potentially is just a cheap and easy option.
Yeah, so you can't have it. so there we are. You can't have it. As simple as that. It's not for you. It's not possible. You can't have it.
Because someone can't make a shed load of money out of it.
Exactly. So you can't have it. Well, here we are. This is the pilot aware unit. So if you're an airplane driver, you might have this in the air, and this will receive directly ADS-B, Open Glider Network, and all those other good things. But through the Open Glider OGNR network, it will rebroadcast those stations. Let me see if I can find that. It will rebroadcast that. And yeah, spread things further using 360 radar. What do they call it these days? Learn more. We're learning together. Oh, it's going to be a PDF.
I am actually considering getting like a dual band 4G modem and setting up my own receiving station, and then be able to pump it to the net.
Oh, there you are. This is what you need to do. Then you get one of these, and you'll be doing all modes: ADS-B, pilot aware, and FLARM. So there's your 3 antennas for your ground station. And here's your how-tos, and there it is. So let me put this link in the chat.
Going to need it later.
Yeah, and I'll put the link in the private chat over here.
Thank you so much. I've been up since 4 a.m, so my brain's fuzzy enough already. So, perfect. I'll grab that.
Yeah, but it's just one of the ways, and you're lucky. You're in the UK. They're having sensible conversations about all of this. Other countries, not so much. As I said before, it's because the UK is a nation of train spotters that people enjoy setting up stuff like that and watching the aeroplanes go by. So those pilot aware, are you aware of 360 radar over there?
I've heard of it, but a lot of people I know tend to use Flight Radar 24 or something?
Yeah, the trouble with those is they're time delayed. The people don't realize it, but those aircraft are delayed by a few seconds to stop you doing something nefarious at tracks approaching. And you can also pay to have yourself removed from those systems, or your aircraft not to show. So yeah, that's what's occurring there. You can power it into your GPS and give you local feeds. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I do, David. That's exactly what I do. And we do with our chain of ADS-B receivers, which the ground-based, so they have you have the ability to multilaterate those tracks then. So you can see Mode S as well as pure ADS-B. Obviously, you can't see Mode C, Charlie's stuff, and you can't see stuff that's doing nothing at all because it just ain't there. But yeah, it's none of this is hard. We're digital devices. Just switch it all on, Manned Aviation, and we will find a way of watching you and getting out the way. I think is a bottom line. What say you, Bruce?
I'll have a coffee, please.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely right. It is. You're right. What can I say? Covered it all.
Dog
ate my homework.
Sorry, I think I stamped on you there, Mark. Now, all right. Let's go on.
I think as soon as I say that's accepted and we're all seen and there's no escape for everyone from that paraglider to that hang glider and we can all be seen in the air, it's going to be so much better in some respects.
And with this is a completely different kettle of ball games to remote ID. We're not talking about remote ID here, in which, dear viewer, if you've not caught up with it, not only the position of your aircraft, but the position of yourself will, as the operator, will be revealed to whoever has access to it. So we're not talking about remote ID. We're talking about electronic conspicuity. That's a completely different thing, and gets rid of a. And the other thing that, of course, that can happen is general aviation can all move above 2,000 feet, and that would also help make that problem go away. No new equipment needs to be fitted at any extra expense. Just bog off above 2,000 feet. And I believe as the UK rolls out EQ a little bit better, that is part of the thinking. I don't think it's going to be 2,000 feet. I think it's going to be 1,500 feet. And I think they're going to make a push to make all general aviation, if they're not equipped, get up and get out the way. That's what
that would be brilliant if they could just turn around and go to manned aviation. Unless you'll take off and landing, get up to 1,500 feet above the surface. That would be, we suddenly gain the ability then to fly at 1,000 feet, which would actually, if we could get up to that height, that'd be so much better for us in some respects.
And it's safer for manned aviation because they've got longer to make that emergency call as they glide down to their selected field. They've got a longer time to select that field. Oh, it's just safer all around.
So sorry, guys. We are always nagging about wanting the 400 feet airspace for drones. And now you guys are trying to put more congestion in that space. Come on. We already have the Amazons. Now we have the Walmart.
Well, just think if we could get manned aviation up to 1.5, for example, we could then sell Amazon like the 1,000 to 1,200 feet section, and then you could have someone else another 200 feet. You could create little layers for them. They can all buy that little bit of airspace.
Nice idea. With that, we get 5% down on VAT.
Yeah,
that would be,
Yeah, no. I
like how we sell mobile phone frequencies, we'll just sell little slots of airspace.
No, but
you are predicting the future to a certain extent there, Mark. You have to be careful what you wish for. You are kind of predicting what might be coming down the turnpike.
Well, I could see like the the ones you're riding, the quadcopters you're going to be able to sit in and you're going to use it from point to point. They're going to want their bit of airspace as well, so they'll probably have to fit in between 1,250 and the 1,500, so they're sort of in the manned aviation area. Just that's where they're going to want to be. So sell them a bit of airspace. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm not getting in one. I'm not getting in.
No, quite so. Now, we've not had Nicola for a couple of days. We haven't bothered Ian either much. He's just reading his phone. He's just looking at his Pornhub channel. But we haven't spoken to Nicola for a couple of weeks. And what have you been flying? What have you learned? And have you found that model on the top of the mountain yet?
Nope. Let's start back to front. Nope. And I have been flying more of those, very dangerous, hazardous, potentially deadly, though yet unconfirmed, airplanes. The remote controlled kind.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been making some progress with the Flying Dragon. Started off with about just under 2 hours, maybe, flight time, and around 140 kilometers. And by the time I finished swapping props and balancing them and moving the battery back and forth, I'm up to 180 kilometers of range and just over 2.5 hours. So a decent improvement, considering I've only swapped props and moved the battery, I don't know, about 1.5 centimeters to the rear, which I'm not yet sure if it's really back heavy, because I don't know how accurate the factory CG markings are, and it might seem that I'm probably the only person in the world flying that plane, because apparently it's not sold anywhere anymore. So that's weird, although I have a few ideas why that might be.
It's like a slightly bigger Believer, isn't it?
No, the
Which one?
fighter is the bigger Believer. The Flying Dragon was made by God knows who. It was shortly sold by Banggood, and then it
Right.
was for a while on AliExpress, but that listing has also been removed. So as far as I know, no one else has one. So
Well, Brian in the comments seems to have one. He says, "What batteries do you use?" I'm
Okay.
getting really good flights on 4 centimeter CG.
4 centimeters. That seems a bit too far forward. There's a G marking on the underside of the wing on the plastics on the fuselage side, where the wing connects to the fuselage. There's like this, I don't know if it's laser etched or what is it, but there's a G, and I took that as a reference for the center of gravity. Okay, sure. Okay, so
Just
there's
means
3.
G,
Wow.
G for ground, doesn't it? Doesn't that just mean that's the side that the ground should be on?
I don't know. They're not symmetrical. You can't really put them on backwards.
Never mind. Never mind.
But anyway, okay, in that case, apparently I'm flying it very tail heavy because I'm pretty sure that's further than 4 centimeters from the leading edge. Battery is 6S8P Samsung 35Es, which puts it around 28 amp hours. Probably less. I think I've been able to get out down to 3 volts, about 26.5, which is about right. The cells are not really 3.5 amp hours anyway. So yeah, but in 2.5 hours, very low consumption. So it's like under 10 amps, I think. Yeah, just under 10 amps. But I do think that can be improved upon if I manage to get a hold of some 12x12 APC props, which are out of stock in the EU Motion RC's EU warehouse. And that shipping cost from the US is just slightly off-putting.
What type of props do you want, Nicola?
12x12 APC. There's a tractor and pusher version of those, because I ran 12x4.5 multi-rotor props, and they were loud and they were slow and it was ridiculous. And now actually I swapped them over for 11x7 E props, and that made a huge difference. Slower, like a smaller size, but almost double the pitch speed. So that made a difference. And from testing, I know that 12x12 is the prop to use with 500 kV motors on 6S on large birds in terms of efficiency and endurance. So yeah, If I manage, we talk no, not the same plane. You're talking about the reptile dragon, and I'm talking about the flying dragon. It's a 2.2 meter wingspan mapping platform, not the reptile dragon.
If you
A
look
lot
in
of
the,
dragons going around, so confusion is understandable.
so Nicola, and if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, in the chat, in the private chat, I've put hopefully your 12x12 APCs, mate.
Okay. Let's see. Also, I've been doing some, well, not really, but I'll try and find them. Description.
I had a
Okay.
friend this week who friends don't let friends buy multi-bladed propellers, do they? And he bought one for his aircraft.
12 by 12, but that's not the prop that I need. Let's see if they have something else.
Am I wrong in thinking that we don't really want tri-bladed propellers unless we want a scale look
No.
and we have got a short reason for having them?
If there's a chance they touch the ground, 3 blades are off the table. Also, I've been doing some flying with the Vito.
Oh, have you?
I've been flying it in the wind. Actually, this weekend on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. And I flew it a couple of times in the wind. And it could use a bit of PID tuning both in the quad stage and in the plane stage. But for the most part, seems to be holding its own. Although I did move a few holes up on the control horns, and with the wind, it would no longer be able to hold position if it's facing the wind, like on the large part of the wing. If you rotate it sideways, it's okay, but but you move one hole up on the control horn, and it no longer has the travel needed to actually stay in one, like to loiter if there's any moderate wind, which was interesting because landings were very fun. Although once you get it closer to the ground, it's easier to keep it in one place and then I just grab it and throttle down, which seems to work rather nice. It's stable enough for that.
Yeah,
but it does fly well. And one thing that I actually realized at first, I noticed it did not have any carbon rods to reinforce it. And I thought, well, this would probably snap in two if you make it like a sudden movement. But then I dropped it down without transitioning to Vito a few times. I, tried to land it like that on purpose or by chance, whatever whatever comes. But a good thing of that inherent flexibility of not having carbon rods is that it probably won't break that easily on impact, because it flexes around and takes the force of the impact. It just flexes around it. It's very interesting. But I did put the camera on it. I put it on a tilting servo, and I mixed it in with the flight modes channel. So basically, now when you switch to forward flight, it would slowly rotate. It would slowly rotate the camera forward along with the rotation of the plane. So basically, for the most part, you're seeing this very little change in the orientation of the camera as the plane is transitioning back and forth. And I made it, 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down, as long as the transition lasts. And it works pretty good. I'm happy about that. Although a non-stabilized camera is annoying.
So have you moved to the place where you'd prefer to fly that over a flying wing, or you'll just chuck a flying wing hard straight up when you're flying from a tight space and land it in a bush to get away with it, to have to avoid all the fuss of the VTOL part of it?
No, I veto takeoff.
But you like it. Do you like that? You'd like that more than a wing without all that fuss?
Yeah. No,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
no. I like the veto. I generally don't like wings, but for some reason, this one has decided that it's gonna fly awesome, and it
Okay.
does.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does. And I'm having quite a lot of fun with it, actually. I will have to try and tame it down in manual mode, because that is still insane. Because if I'm to have any control over the plane in veto mode, I have to keep it at the lowest hole on the control horn that would give me the most control surface travel. So that means it would be insane to fly in manual mode with all that vectored airflow going over it.
Could you put a dual rating? So when you flip between your flight modes, if your transmitter allows it, program in dual rate and then kill off your excess movements.
Well, yeah, dual rates and probably a bit of expo, maybe. I don't usually use those settings because most planes fly okay and are not that agile in manual mode. Usually, larger mapping platforms, stuff like that. Even the Zoc Drift, I mean, all of that I'm flying without any mixing or dual rates or expo in the radio. But this one is impossible. Full servo travel.
I have something that will help. I have something that will help.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. Got me there. Maybe somebody with years of experience in flying 3D models might be able to handle it better than I am, but this is just too much. Maybe if I switch off the motors and just try it in manual motors off, just to see how it will go. But once you turn them on, it's pretty much untouchable. Just the slightest movement and it does a 360 flip.
Oh, you must be able to tame that down, settings either on pilot or on the radio, as you say.
No, it has to be the radio. It has to be the radio.
I would definitely go for when you flick your switch, make it wind in the control movement on dual rate at the same time.
Yeah.
I really would.
Nick, you use Ardupilot to fly that VTOL? Are you using Ardupilot to fly the VTOL, Nicola?
Yeah. No, fly-by-wire A mode is perfect. Manual mode is where the fun is. Well, fun.
Try to reach Andrew Tridgell on Discord channel, and he might be giving you a good hand because he's very keen on those strange architecture vehicles like VTOLs.
Yeah, but no, it's not a problem with the code. It just the plane itself is kind of funky and agile and all of that. So it needs to be tamed down from the radio. The code's fine, and I don't think you can actually in manual mode alter the channels via the autopilot anyway.
I would say try to reach out to Tridge with some logs, even when you're flying in manual, to see if he has a good idea, because he has seen a lot of VTOLs.
Okay.
He has. And he's always quick to answer on the Discord channel.
If I don't forget, I'll probably do that.
Yeah.
And Michael Boland in the comments is making a good point, perhaps tail heavy. But it sounds like, well, you've got those huge control surfaces, haven't you? Big motors, huge control surfaces, short coupled. It's a dream, really. Yeah. It's a dream.
And they each have a motor, like a prop blowing on them. So
yeah.
You'd expect it to be agile.
But when the autopilot's when you're not, so you actually flip it into manual, like autopilot out the loop.
Yeah.
Not really meant for that, is it?
Autopilot's actually doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah. So when it's in the autopilot, it's not so bad. But when you're flying it
Yeah.
manually, it's a complete handful. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're going to expect that sort of thing, sadly, aren't you?
Yeah.
What Bruce was saying. The autopilot has more of what Bruce suggested.
Oh yeah, more talent. Yes.
Well, it's in there, it's feeling things firsthand.
It's in there, yeah, because it's flying. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it can see what's happening. It can see everything.
Yeah.
Feel
overlords that will control everything, including Nicholas planes.
And Ian, let's see if we can distract Ian up there. Like he's like, you see those adverts for office workers and things like that, where there's someone always typing on a keyboard and looking studious. That's what he's doing there. Again, he's playing mahjong, isn't he?
No, well, I was shilling this live stream on YouTube on Twitter for you just now.
It's not as bad as he thinks, as you think. So I thought you were going to impress us with some sort of multimedia spectacular from your Welsh studio there.
I've been just playing today. Yeah, well, I can. I've been trying out something which I've been wanting to order for some time, which you couldn't actually buy. It's another example of companies making products that you can't buy. No matter what you do, you just can't buy it. But yeah, and it's hopefully going to make my life a lot more complicated, basically. I'm not sure you can afford the production value I can bring to this now, Gary. It costs way more than, we can do something like this, and we can switch over to this. And then we can switch over to the bench there and show you the bench over there. And I can even show you yourself as well if I really wanted to. But then I can actually change the fade speed so it does it nice and easily like that, Gary. And then we can do things like this and go, actually, I'm going to slide off to the side. And then I'm going to swipe my way back from the top just like that. So, yeah.
Is this good content?
No.
Most dynamic content on this channel.
And this is the best button from your point of view, is this one here.
That is the best one, Ian.
Yeah, so that's it.
I was almost saying that you got yourself a new chair, but no, just the button.
I finally bought myself an A10 Mini. Is what I.
But what he doesn't have a button. He doesn't have a chair cam button. That is disappointing.
Oh wait there. Let's turn this one around. Wait there. Let's turn this around. I set this up just. Is that chair cam? No. Which one? Which one's chair cam? No, not that one. That's chair cam. There you go. You can just see the logo on. That's all you can afford to see, Gary. Okay, you can't afford it.
What else do we need? What else do we need, really? What
yeah,
else
the nice thing about it is it does act as a webcam as well, so it means you can turn any camera into a webcam, and that was why I wanted to try it tonight rather than the normal webcam. So it doesn't behave. I've got 2 streaming cards, and the problem with the streaming cards is they have to have specific drivers, and they don't work with a lot of the standard software.
It sounds like you need labels for all your switches.
Well, there's only 4 buttons, but I can still get that wrong. There's only that one, or that one. But or this will be your favorite one as well. If I do this one, this will definitely be your favorite, which is buy.
Oh God, you've got that set up to do that, haven't you? At the end of your stream.
No, it comes like this. To be fair, it's a very, very good bit of kit when you can actually get hold of it. And no, Bruce, I wasn't sent it for free. I paid full price for it before you give me any more abuse.
And what stellar content are you hoping to produce with this next week?
I'm trying to get my subscriber count to go down, not up at the moment. So what I'm going to try and do is make it more complicated. And I want to get away from the streaming cards on the PC, and that's what this will allow me to do in many ways.
And did go on after you, Mark? Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, you know, when everyone goes, please subscribe to my channel and all this at the beginning of their videos, everyone needs to start going, please do not watch, you know, and do the
Please turn off.
Right, just go, look, don't watch this. It's going to be crap. Don't watch it. We're not here. Don't press subscribe, whatever you do. I don't want a high count. And see how high the reverse psychology can push you.
I don't have that problem. No one subscribes, no one watches, so it really isn't a problem. It's
it's all tricky stuff, isn't it? What was I going to say? What else did I see this week that surprised? I'm going to have a look at SES News.
There was a lot of noise. There's been a lot of political noise this week. Obviously, all of the American drum banging has been continuing. How we're righteous, how we can't trust Chinese drones, yet all of those comments are being posted on phones and laptops made in China. Yet Chinese drones are the most evil thing since tomatoes, and all of the Chinese technology is perfectly safe. So it's more hypocrisy. There was quite a heated thread with Brendan from DJI, and to be fair, there is a massive amount of hypocrisy here. That we selectively choose what equipment could be stealing our data. We're happy that the iPhone is made in China. We're happy that we'll all go out and buy Android phones or whatever ones come out over there. Yet when it comes to drones, they're stealing data.
Come on, haven't you guys seen that apprehension of the OnePlus earbuds in New York because they are similar to the AirPods. So it's not only DJI. Apparently, there are others on the line to get next.
No, but if you look, DJI is very much being used as the political weapon. It was originally Huawei, wasn't it? They were the big name that was being used, and I suppose it's probably a credit to them that they are being used in such a way, because it just shows how big they are. Do you know what I mean? If they weren't a big company, then their presence wouldn't be a concern. So in many ways, they're a victim of their own success. But yeah, I just find it, if you're going to say I'm not, ban Chinese technology, then put your phone down, close the lid on your laptop, turn your light bulbs off, take your LED lights out your house, and that there's very little that isn't made over there.
But it's very clever asymmetric warfare, isn't it? Though,
yeah,
no shots fired, and and people and information in the rooms, and one can affect the outcomes of presidential races and Brexit and things like that without firing a gun. It's very clever, really. One side's kicking themselves that they didn't do more of it themselves.
It has been an interesting week with the ARM deal as well, and that really does affect the drone industry too. In fact, it could have a very large effect on the drone industry. If you look at the NVIDIA and ARM deal this week, NVIDIA are heavily behind the Skydio 2. We know that they're heavily involved in some of the back-end processing in that as well, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because there really is very little that exists today without an ARM core in it, is there?
Yeah, no, for sure. It'd be interesting to see. I'd like to see if we get more data out of that new Skydio, because for all of its flashiness, you can't get a lot out of the Skydio if you want to use it commercially. So obviously they've changed that in the commercial version one, but we haven't seen anyone demonstrating that to us properly yet. Because
I think they haven't released yet.
Say again?
I believe they haven't released the industrial version yet.
So they haven't. So you can't actually. If you're trying to turn your hand to create a product, it's quite tricky at the moment with those things. If you're a first responder and all that, and you don't want to hit a tree whilst you're looking at a burning building, then maybe you're fine. But yeah, if you want to turn images into something, it's not all there yet.
No, again, it's a classic example. There's been a lot of rhetoric right now that suddenly there's an American drone industry. But
Yeah.
the reality is, B, well, we said this last week, A, you can't buy any of it. If you wanted it, you can't actually buy it. And B, at the end of the day, none of these are being shown as proven yet. You know, we know what the Chinese companies have been offering for a number of years and what you get out of it. You know, you can buy an off-the-shelf cheap drone, you can go and get Pix4D, and you've got data, and that data is valuable, that data is usable, and it's accurate. But we're not seeing that being demonstrated by anyone else.
No,
Yeah.
I believe now that gentleman Bobby Watt from Watt Innovation,
Yes. Yeah.
their big announcement, and they're doing some movement on the press with their drones or their line of drones. I haven't understood yet completely what it is. I have some information of what it's running, but not complete. So, but still, it's two things problem. One is the production, and the other is the distribution. You might be and that is, I have said it a number of times. It's, in my opinion, the problem of Skydio. They don't have distribution in place. So they're not Tesla. You can go and buy the drone, but they won't deliver to Europe. They have a waiting list of months, so people want, and months is not an option. So, and for instance, the Bobby Watt's Innovation drones, we don't know much about them, only that they're in the markets, but so is Hotel, so is all the other guys that we've been speaking for months and years, but they're not there because DJI has completely covered all the pieces of the chessboard. So they have the distribution, they have the manufacturing, they have the R&D, and they have the marketing. Because come on, every time Ian speaks of DJI, he's another Mavic is sold.
Oh yeah. He's Captain Sales, isn't he? Definitely Captain Sales. Yeah, no, I agree. That we're yet to see which ones of those chosen magical few actually get the numbers out. And of course, if it's for the military, it won't be as big a numbers.
And I'm not sure of the numbers of the guys that of FLIR, because they also have their industrial / defense drones. They have those tiny little bit helicopters.
Yeah.
That are so wonderful to see, but so expensive, and only military market. So, do we know anything about what FLIR is doing with those military drones? Not the small ones, the other ones they have, because they're on the market too. Perhaps that defense market is already being cornered by FLIR. I really don't know.
Well, they're at the end of the day, they're in every single one of them in one way or another. So FLIR's doing all right. They've all got FLIR, so it's all good. So where should we take this now? Let's take this to finding out what's happening in New Zealand. Why haven't you been arrested, and what's on your build table?
Well, I did email the CAA on last Friday, to request an update to the situation on my 2 outstanding investigations. And unfortunately, the head of the CAA investigations branch is on leave until November. So, hey ho, it's open season until November.
That's crazy. Well, how many? I've lost count of how many weeks this is now.
Oh, it's like forever, maybe even longer. I don't know. But I'm just balls in their court. And by my official Information Act request, There's 2 weeks to go on that. So end of this month, that has to be in. They gave themselves an extra 4 weeks, and I wouldn't expect they would even tempt fate by trying to give themselves any more. So at least we'll have some more background there, some more information. We'll see what's happened.
How many days holiday do they get if you're working at the New Zealand CAA? Because that is a long time off. Or is it just
It's maternity leave. It's maternity leave. I think the guy's pregnant.
Okay.
So what are you allowed
so
that
that's-
a couple of months?
Yeah, I think so, something like that. So yeah, but I would think that since it's a CAA email address, that the email would be passed on to the person sitting in for that person while they were away, unless they decide, oh, we'll just halt all investigations for the next 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is, because the head of investigations isn't available. I don't know how they work at CAA. Goodness me. But I'm trying to find out.
So we're going to have a full month of Tokoro video shootings of touch and go of airplanes, right?
Yep. Touch and go on the tail rotors of helicopters. That's me. You know what it's
Yep.
like. But yes. Oh, have we spoken about the AMA and AOPA and the FAA yet? Should we talk about them?
Yeah, you can talk about them. I've heard of them. I've heard of these people.
Yeah. Because as I understand it, they got together and wrote a letter. AOPA and the AMA and maybe someone else got together, wrote a letter to the, Google Wing was involved too. Wrote a letter to the FAA saying this whole remote ID thing is unworkable. It'll kill the hobby, but all the stuff that they put in their submission, they've just resubmitted it basically, I think. And I don't know what they hope to achieve, but it will be interesting to see if they get even an acknowledgement from that. It's like, I think that the writing is on the wall, because when I looked at the Walmart video showing them delivering stuff by drone, it looks just corker, beautiful. I can see that happening every day in suburban neighborhoods around America. Fixed wing drones flying over and dropping things with little tissue parachutes, which are landing gently beside the lady's car, and she walks in, she picks it up, takes it inside. How many insurance claims do they produce?
I think you just pointed out the solution for Nicola. Nicola is going to order some 12 by 12 props on Walmart, and they'll get delivered by those crazy zipline drones.
Yeah, that's gonna be one long zip line.
Yeah.
They're pretty well.
What are you trying to say?
They fly a pretty long
That
way.
would be
They
impressive.
fly a long way. They fly a long way. I think that was, but of all the recent announcements of like Amazon, and there was someone else other than Walmart as well got an announcement as well. Of those three, I think the Zipline one will probably be. Now it's only actually going to deliver between their centers. It's not delivering
No.
to.
Have you watched the ad though? The ad shows a lady. She goes inside with her smartphone. She orders something, and it shows her on a smartphone how far away it is. She goes outside, and the parachute, the plane drops, it flies over, and then it drops the parachute. But the parachute lands at her feet, and she picks it up and takes it inside, and she's a very happy camper. That is utter misinformation. They will never deliver stuff like that.
No, that's the advert. That's not what they got permission to do. there's two different things there. There's two different realities there, Bruce.
So would you trust this company? If a company's going to lie so boldface in their ad or in the video promotional material, how would you trust them with your money?
Well, that'd be Walmart.
That's what marketers say that people need to see to adopt the idea. That's marketers. It's not techies. You're a techie, so you don't understand the language of the marketers. The marketers have to show the concept to the people, so that people won't be afraid and won't try to shoot down the package.
Well, it's even better, because if you don't like your neighbor, you order a pallet of bricks to be delivered to their house by drone, and they drop it out of a flying drone over, and it smashes into their car, and it's not my fault. I mean, there's so many ways to weaponize this. Talking about weaponizing drones, this is the way to do it. Weaponize the Walmart drone. Oh, COVID-19, demonetized.
Just
Lost $1 million there, Gary.
yeah, exactly. Another one. Oh well.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, it's just. But yes, you're absolutely right. Get something heavy delivered to your neighbours consistently. One of them is bound to go wrong, isn't it? But that's why they're not doing that. But the others are just the Amazon. That's vaporware. at least Zipline does have a system that's running, whether you like it or not, and they do hundreds of flights every day in Africa to remote
In
places.
Africa, yeah.
Yeah,
No one cares if a pallet of bricks falls on your neighbour's mud hut in Africa, do they?
flying a pallet of bricks. Goodness me. No, I remain to see what happens to all this. I think I'm going to pin a tail on the donkey and say the fuss with this to the front door delivery will be over in 5 years' time. It will go away quietly.
It won't take that long. It won't take that long.
You don't reckon
sorry,
less than
Mike,
5 years?
you're
No,
wrong.
a year or two and it'll be done. Year or two and it'll be done.
No, you're
All right.
both wrong. It is like a wave. So it dies down and then resurface again because someone has a better idea than every one before had. So it will come up and then we'll pick lots of marketeer videos and then come down again and up, down. So that's like the urban mobility vehicles. That's on the same category as the urban mobility vehicles.
I'm waiting to see how long it is before an airline pilot reports seeing a flying car on approach to one of the big airports. It's only a matter of time, as the Airline Pilots Association would say.
Oh, have we seen Jetpack Man again? I don't think we have we?
No, he's disappeared. Did you see that great one of the jetpack guy flying down the river and flying people? It was something to do with civil defense or something or other. Flying around, he flies down a river. He does a little pirouette over people putting sandbags up and flies back, and somehow that's helping people.
She comes over and says, "Oh, those look heavy," and kind of bugs off again. Yeah. Oh, you're getting wet. Is your house?
Have you noticed how everyone's selling the sizzle and no one's selling the steak?
Absolutely. So, hang on a minute. Let me hover over your house and set fire to you. You've got plenty of water to put it out. Yeah. I'd still love. That's Richard Browning, isn't it? I'd still love to know how he flies that thing because it's got no gyros and no smarts on it. It is just point your arm.
What you don't see is the crane and the wire. It's just out of shot.
Come on.
But it's great, isn't it? Because he's done this off his own bat, basically, with a few model airplane engines and things. And yet here in New Zealand, our crazy government invested $1 million of taxpayers' money, and other people invested tens of millions of dollars in that Martin jetpack thing, which was basically just a giant washing machine you could stand in and get thrown around. And everyone was going, "Oh, it's going to be the future of aviation." It's like drone delivery. Everyone's saying it's fantastic, but it's just totally impractical.
Well, it's amazing what he's done because it plainly is not as simple as strapping some model jets onto your arm and away you go. Otherwise, everybody would. He dropped a package to the workers. Yeah. Otherwise,
everybody's doing it already. You just didn't get the memo, Gary. We've all got these things, haven't we, Ian? He's nodding. Yeah, I like that mute. That mute's great.
Definitely. Gary, you missed the boat. Didn't you notice that when the Jetman flew past, they said he had a big trail from the back of him that said X-Jet, and that's how Bruce filmed the start for the X-Jet channel. It's actually a rocket man. It's flying past manned aviation. He also has been known to do it to steal parts off the aircraft to sell online to fund his drug habits, but that's a story for another time.
Going up and unbolted things in flight. Yes.
Quite interested to know which engines he's actually got as well. Because those jet turbines he's using, what kind of thrust and output they are. Quite interesting.
I think it's full of crap because the flight time on those packs is between 3 and 6 minutes on all the ones I've seen. There is no way he is up there at that height. Because how high was it again? It was
10. It's not very high.
No, it is. If you hold on to the aeroplane, as soon as it takes up.
It's a long way to come down if he runs out of fuel, let's just say.
Oh, sorry, yes. You see, what he really wants is a wingsuit with those jets as well. So you could use the jets to get up, wingsuit, woohoo!
They've done it. He's got a suit that does that. There's old Richard Browning. No, it's pretty. I mean, it blows my mind how it can control the thing. Got it from AliExpress. I said they're in a bit of trouble, and I see that there's slightly off topic, but perhaps on topic. Who knows? I'll try and make it on topic. But did you ever hear of the fake Lego brand Lepin? Don't know if you ever heard. There was a fake Lego brand Lepin. Well, the CEO of that has just been put in prison for 4 years, and they've paid out $14 million US dollars in fines, and a further 8 members of the company have been banged up because Lego was really enforcing their copyright story. And in China. So, is this the start of something? One wonders.
Well, Lego don't mess around. You know, they were in deep trouble, and they had a new guy. I watched a program actually on them, and they had a new guy take over, and he turned the company around. But they certainly don't mess around with regards to their IP now. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they're also, interestingly enough, they're trying to redesign the bricks to make them more environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
now they redesign on product on a plastic that is biodegradable. So good luck when my kids want to show their kids their Lego stuff. But I think Lego lost the patent for the brick shape unless they did it again a couple of years ago. That's why we saw the explosion of those Lepins and all those clones of Lego kits.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it was it was like the Star Wars copy stuff, wasn't it? Then Lego went, right, we'll have you now.
Yeah, come on. If you try to buy a Millennium Falcon from Lego, it costs you quite some money. More than perhaps building a Millennium Falcon out of scrap parts. But
yeah.
There's one out the back of we used to fly over the sheds at Cardington, the airfield sheds. They're not hangars, they're sheds. They're huge things. There was one out the back. There was also it was a Y fighter or an X fighter was also out the back. And they were parked next to the buses from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because that's where Universal. I think it's Universal. I could be wrong there. It was one of the big studios uses one of those airship sheds for filming. There's always weird stuff parked out the back you can't see from the road.
Yeah, and because they've got that big airship tethered, it's restricted airspace. So
they're not tethered anymore. No, I felt it was my own. That's how I viewed it. But it is restricted airspace, but there's no one there to enforce it. That's the Met Office balloon you're talking about there, isn't it? The Met Office has got a little side office there, but it's all going for houses now, so all bets will be off at that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, the airfield's going for houses.
We do that over here so badly. It's ridiculous. You know, we have something good. It can be used really well. And they go, "All right, no, we can make more money housing, so we'll just flatten it."
And of course, the developers did the dodgy. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do up this, we'll do this, we'll do that. As long as you give us planning permission, and they haven't done the this and they haven't done the that, and they've still got the planning permission, But they used to have the fire argument. I'm going to make up an acronym now, the Fire Safety Agency or something. Used to have a complete 2-story house in one of them inside there. So I'm trying to give an idea how massive these things are. I think, if I'm not wrong in saying, if they were 20 feet longer, you could have put the Titanic inside and shut the doors. It's something like that. But they are enormous. But this two-story house, when you went in there, was dwarfed, like absolutely tiny inside there, and they just used to set fire to stuff in it, set fire to things and see what happened.
You're right. They did hold some of the biggest film sets ever made in the UK. You know, they were used on some of the biggest films that ever made here because, like you say, they're just huge. You know, you can walk into one and you could get lost just walking into one. They're not small things at all. No,
it is amazing. And Jones Mays mentioned there, they That's where they did all the trimming for. If you saw James May flying a Caravan under an airship, well, that's where that all got sorted out and got fitted out, because we used to have permission to go in there and use them to inflate us. You know, I flew hot air balloons to do our certificate of airworthiness and stuff like that. Just do it indoors. Why not? You know, so we can inflate the things, stand them up completely, and get them all sorted out inside. Nice cup of tea and all that sort of thing out of the rain. And that's what we used to do. That's what we sorted out that airship for that Caravan thing. Now, what else have we seen, gentlemen? What else have we seen? What else have we seen?
I've seen a Muggin. You know the VTOL muggins you can get. The Muggins.
Yeah.
I've actually seen one in real life now.
They're big, aren't they?
Well, I haven't seen it fly yet, but I've seen the kit, and yes, you don't realise how big the thing is. You just it's got a 3-meter wingspan. Just put that in context. It's probably as long as most. Its wingspan is the same length as your car.
Well,
a lot of people.
For those people, for people with small cars, yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine having a small car like that. But yeah, yeah.
It's just amazing. And what was interesting is every part was then weighed, so we knew, how much one wing weighs with the other. They are up to 300 odd grams out. If you compare the left wing bit and the right wing bit, they're not exactly. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it'll be interesting if it gets laterally balanced and see how it sits.
Yeah, I know an awful lot of them of the non VTOL type have ended up re-kitting themselves in quite a spectacular fashion. They're not the best. They're okay, but they're not the best.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 12S powered as well.
Yeah,
just because it doesn't, you can't. 6S ain't going to cut it.
Yeah, all starts to get a bit to the Baby Shark that we didn't fly the other day because it's not Baby Shark list. That's a lot of stuff, and you really do. If you get any of these systems, take them down to bare bones. Start again yourself. Set it up from the beginning and know exactly what you're dealing with, because you can never be quite sure of the manufacturer provided firmwares, and
back 1 month later after you plan to fly. So it will take you 1 month on these complex ones to strip them completely.
Yeah.
What's happening? What have I missed? What have I missed?
I've got to call it a night. I will catch you guys later. No problem at all.
All right.
Stay safe.
He's doing the live chat on his Pornhub channel.
No, I put it in the chat. I put it in the private chat.
Other round you to worry about. Yeah.
So I'm going to call it a night.
All right.
I will catch you guys later.
Look after yourself, Captain. He's gone. All right, we talk about it now.
You have to go sell another chair. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No. If you rewire everything yourself, then you know if you do everything, you know what's what. Right, set up from the base setup. And if you don't, you're just chasing problems because you've got no idea how it was set up. So just do it.
Well, I was out flying the Nimbus in the week as well. So you know the Foxtech Nimbus.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's quite nice actually, but we put a PIX cube in it. We took out their flight controller stuff because you don't need it. And I got to fly that.
Which Nimbus?
So it was
the one with the carbon tail bomb?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one.
I believe so, yeah.
Not the crosswind Nimbus.
It's
because actually the big one, the crosswind, the one of the latest ones, one of its other names is Nimbus Pro or some Shit,
Okay,
like that.
Demonetized.
So the
Yeah.
the V-tail one
yeah.
with the carbon boom. Okay, but was it the VTOL
So it's full
modification
VTOL,
or
the
just
three-
regular?
The third front and the,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It-
All right. Yeah, that must have been nice.
It actually is nice to fly, but what we discovered is when you program it to fly a mission, we were flying it too fast in. So as it came in, it would suddenly flare itself up because we were just coming in too quick. And we got it eventually, so it was hardly moving. But literally, you've got to get it to stall almost. So it's literally coming in so slow, it's lost all its speed. And I flew that not in manual, but fly-by-wire kind of flying. So I took off took off as a multi-rotor. I converted it, flew it around. Do you know it's really nice to fly?
Yeah, well, remember that ballooning up on the approach is what Tridge's big code push is going to get rid of. So you'll set your waypoint for landing, and it will set its approach up properly to stop that. It is a problem when you coming in quickly. Well, you've worked it out, but soon it'll be drop the waypoint in and it'll do it all.
Yeah. So anyone that is flying one, top tip, at about 100 meters out, drop your flying speed from about 14 meters a second, 15. Start dropping it down, and you want to be coming in before you've got to do it 100 meters out though, because it takes so long to lose the height. And to be honest, it doesn't matter what height you want to transition at. You just got to dump that speed, and you want to get down to about 10 meters a second or less. You're right on the stall.
Well, see, yes. And then also all sorts of things are going to be happening with the drag around all those extra motors. There's definitely, and best speed to fly is also quite interesting, because if you're too slow, then the VTOL motors are going to be coming on. You're going to be using a huge amount of power. There's so many variables in these things.
And I should think like you. I'm going to tell you how to suck eggs on it. But with VTOLs, as you come in, I think the biggest mistake is people are doing the conversion at 50 meters or 30 meters, and that really is too high to do your conversions, because you've got to use so much power to get down or up that height. You only want 8-meter hops if you can, unless you're coming over something specific. You don't want to be very high. The lower you are, the better off you are in many respects. You only want to be 8 to 10 meters, and you can get them in, bring them down. If you are surrounded by trees, fine, 30 meters, whatever you need. But actually, lower is better.
Yeah, the trees around you might not like the idea of flaring at 8 meters, but that's another issue.
Yeah, if there are trees around you, come in higher. But we've all ended up in the top of trees at some point. I'm willing to bet.
Also, one of those planes on top of a tree is quite easy to make it to convince him to come down by its own means, because they're so big that they will come down by themselves.
It all seems so frantic, doesn't it? That's the other thing. It's all a lot of noise, a lot of, and so as you quite rightly say, if you start containing the speed a little bit further back in your approach, it is all a lot less frantic. If you rush in and go to 30 meters, it flares up and then takes forever to come back down.
I believe, Gary, that Bridge has already a patch on Master to correct.
He does. Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, he does.
If you run Master, and I don't know if it's on the current release. I haven't checked.
It'll change. It'll change, and it's. But I think there are efficiencies to be had by looking at speeds to fly. I think you'll be very careful. You'll get loads of parasitic drag if you go far too fast, and then loads of sink, and you'll have to put in the VTOL motors if you go far too slowly. There's loads of far more variables than with a normal aeroplane. You can get it within the the ranges. You can understand the speeds a little bit better, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, because you're either gliding or you're not. But it's glide speed, whereas these things,
I will say that the VTOL's bad idea. If you want to have a plane, then get a tail seater. That's a much smarter geometry of a plane.
they are nice, but they are very particular. You haven't got much of a CG range, and you've got to build them light. You've got to build them very light. If you start, I don't know what that Wingtra weighs, but it's a big model aeroplane that we've all built. It is a big plywood and covering. It's not a super heavy.
Come on, Gary. You've experienced VTOLs. VTOLs are killer. The VTOL part, the quadcopter part on a normal plane just kills the plane. Unless it is specifically designed for that, with enclosures for the propellers and the motors enclosed on a fuselage and auto-retracting and all of that. That just adds a lot of complexity to
it does.
The drone. Tail seaters are the best solution.
Phil, your foam board tail sitters. How much is the Wingtra? Wingtra's not 3.5 kilos, is it? Mark's frozen. You know, will he?
I don't remember. But the thing is, come on, the mechanical design of a tail seater can be easily done, and you can extend those wings to whatever you want to. So you just need to be smart on building the bottom part of the tail seater.
Yeah, it's 3.7. It's 3.7 with two 99-watt-hour batteries.
But then with a tail system, we need a long runway.
No, because you can also land on.
Oh, sorry, tail sitter. Sorry, yes. Yeah.
Well, no, my super complex, heavy design one's over there, and it was fun. I'm going to experiment with a quad tail sitters next. It's my next experiment. Because I'm not a huge fan of separate lift thrust. I want to experiment with quad tail sitter with no flying surfaces, no moving foot surfaces, and see if we can get away with that. You're supposed to be able to. It won't look pretty, but it'll be very simple.
Yeah. I do like the Wingtras. They are very nice.
They are. There's no doubt about it. And I've been amazed the wind that they flew in Tanzania. I was amazed what they were going back in and managing to hover. Really was.
You can even have two pilot stations, can't you? So you can have one, and then someone can just take over and take it onto their head as well. It is, I do like,
it's a tiny bit of kit. It is a tiny bit of kit.
But they're not cheap either, are they, though? That's, for what it is, let's be clear, for what it is, it's not cheap. It's nice. But...
Do you think that the tool that does the job in an efficient way is expensive? Come on, people are paying 10,000-15,000 euros for an M300. They're paying 20,000 euros for a camera for the DJI. Is the Wingtra now starting to look cheap?
Yeah. At that point, it's starting to look
It's just what is the right tool for the job? Can you charge 2,500 euros per day of operating a Wingtra?
And look, we can see one of the clever things they did. It says in the specs 99-watt-hour batteries, 2 of them. Well, there you are. That's one ease of use straight away. 2 under 100-watt-hour batteries.
Thank you.
So that probably in some ways, more than anything else, shows you they were thinking about what they were doing. that gives you a really strong clue, doesn't it?
And they are lithium ion packs in them as well. They're not lipo packs.
Yeah.
No, that is not the issue. Our three-letter friends from Shenzhen, they were not thinking when they went with the TB55 batteries and the newer ones for the M300. Come on, guys. You got it right from the M600 with 6 batteries, small batteries on the M600. Why, if you have something that is right, why do it wrong?
But it's just it's those sort of little details. I was talking to someone today about not Wingcopter, the Wingcopter guys. When I spoke to them and I asked them deliberately, excuse me, Mr. questions, slightly dumb probing questions, they answered everyone with great patience, and they answered me honestly, and I could tell. And then they were telling me stuff, and they hid nothing. And there were other companies kicking about that as soon as I went near them, they put everything away. They wouldn't answer any questions at all. And it's just when you start dealing, you see through some companies, don't you, quite easily by the way they react to you, and then gain confidence in others. So again, back to the winter, it's just 99 watt hours. You've thought about this.
Yeah. And from someone that has been fighting the last few weeks on getting DJI batteries across the Atlantic.
You're still struggling.
Yeah.
Can't buy them in Brazil.
Yes,
you can't get them in Brazil. No.
Yes, you could, and I could also buy a car in Brazil for the cost of the batteries.
You could get a nice Beetle, couldn't you? You could probably get several Beetles in Brazil.
I don't know if it was a Beetle or a Porsche, but something crazy would.
It'd be cheaper to buy the Beetle, ship it back to where you are, and sell it, and you'll still be better off than buying batteries in Brazil.
Come on, guys. I can tell you the costs of the drones, of DJI drones in Brazil, and you guys will get completely flabbergasted with those numbers. It's completely out of this world. I'm sorry for our Brazilian friends that have to endure that. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Look, we're beginning to waffle. Have we seen? Is there any more for any more, everyone? Anyone seen anything else? Go on.
I'm seeing a guy that should be arrested for not paying attention.
Flight Test replies to their version of Wing.
Who is paying attention?
I think I made a copy of the Wingtra. I make no bones about it. All the things I make that fly are copies. I just copy other people's work.
If you come from the modelling background, this is the thing. We come from a modelling background, I should think most of us here. You see something, you go, right, I want to make that. You will find a way to make it. That airframe, I'll build that. I can get a kit for that. I can get a plan for that.
Yeah, I can make that.
Yeah, I can do that myself.
Yeah, and then you've got to work out the ins and outs of the control. But it's like when I did the pogo stick years ago with the that pogo, the contra-rotating powered VTOL thing the Americans had, where the bloke had to sit looking straight up on his back when they took off, and they had mirrors for him. But then when I made that, you just take a 3-view, because it's all about the relationship of where the controls are to the power and all that they cleverly worked out. The center of gravity, I haven't got enough life to work that out. So that's why I copy stuff, because it always works. And with the Wingtra, it was the thickness, it was the size of those control surfaces. And it's interesting that they went from was it interesting? It's only interesting if you're very dull. But they went from great big slab rectangular ones to curved Spitfire wing type surfaces. So yeah, I copied those as well. So yeah, you can see choices. You must look also for the design evolution when copying things.
Yeah. It's quite clearly someone who has been playing with the CFM package back at the headquarters.
Probably that chap we had on. Do you remember we had that chap that was really into his? They did this stuff for the EB and improved the EB no end with some aerodynamic tweaks. But to get it flying out of foam board, it doesn't take much.
The EB, the best thing about the EB is it's so simple to use. The worst thing about the EB is it's too easy to use.
Because
it doesn't, it's so easy to plan a flight and not think about it.
Okay.
It's easy to use without following. When we plan flights with RD Pilot or Mission Planner, you've got to think about it a bit. Okay.
It's easy to use if you know how to launch it, and that is the first issue with the EV.
It's just like this, isn't it?
Well, as long as you can do it into wind and you wait for that motor to get to speed, that's the most critical bit with the EB. You've got to give it that time to get. It needs that 10 seconds or so. That motor spinning right in front of your tummy is just, it gets up. You've got to get it so it's biting. You can feel it wants to go, and then you can chuck it at 40 degrees. Off she goes. And you literally just don't need a controller. Just do nothing.
Yeah, but that's the electronics part. The electronics can only do so much. If the mechanical parts of the vehicle is sane and well designed, it makes all the electronic parts so much easier. Have to do some less work and have processing power to do smarter things, and that's what we want our vehicles to do: smarter things.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the fellow that passed away. It was one of that other open source autopilot from back in the day, and the guy passed away. I can't remember what it was called.
Wasn't Open Pilot? No.
No. Before that, the very first one, before everything, the one all the universities used.
Captain Clark.
KK.
Captain Clark.
No. Before,
Arju.
No.
Arju.
All of that.
The one that became Clean Flight? No.
No.
The other thing about one of the things that really used to bug me about flying an EB, though, was the fact they self-destroy themselves. There's no better thing to create something that's really good to use, really simple, but they guarantee, Sense-like guarantee, you are going to go back to them after around anywhere from about 120 to 200 hours plus. You will be going in for a service at £1,000 a time in the UK if you want to get one serviced.
£1,000 to have it serviced. How much does a new one cost?
Have you looked at the service intervals of the GI drone, the industrial ones?
No.
You should.
What's an M210? Should I ask?
200. 200 cycles per battery. You throw the batteries away every 50 hours. Minor service.
Okay. Well, minor servicing. I always tell people, it's one of my things. Always check your aircraft. Always make sure you look after it.
That's on your SORA manual. Sorry, you have to check the vehicle before every flight.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing 40 flights a day. you have to check your vehicle on every flight.
Yeah,
The thing is, even with a good manual, a good team, bad things will happen, and
yeah.
the maintenance per hour of flight time is mandatory. You have to do it. Besides, on top of every regular, before every flight checklist, you really have to do it.
Yeah.
I still remember the M600s had an issue with the screws that would tighten the props. They would break, and the props would go out. And it's not nice to see an M600 coming down faster than expected.
Gravity defying. That's the one. Paparazzi. 2003, and that's what they used in the first versions of the what we're talking about. That wing, the EB. I remember when they first used that, and then I think they migrated to some PX4.
I believe Paparazzi still is doing something, but by the Delft University.
Yeah, it's on that blog. It's there. I've put the link in the thing. But that really was the thing that kicked everything off back in the day.
Yeah. The best thing about the EB, when you're flight planning, one of the best things is that home point. At any point during the mission, you can change it. That, to me, is just when I was shown all this and I was learning the EB, it's amazing. If the wind changes direction, I can completely change where the EB is going to land. Put it in a different field, put it anywhere you want. I'm like, really? And it was like, so I wasn't used to that at all. On the DPI and everything else at the time. It's just a pain to get it to move and behave itself at times. But a flying fixed wing, just drag it. Yeah, Jasmine, your landing point, off you go.
Yeah, we had that in Autopilot ages ago, and then there's a whole load of things that have sort of disappeared off and have become new features and new stuff. But it's been around for years, years and years and years. Anyway, with this, I'm tired. Too much teaching. When we're rambling. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Dear viewers, wherever you are in the world, be safe. We'll see you again, 2100 GMT next week, and we'll see you. Next week can't be a week of delivery drone stories. I don't know what this coming week's stories are going to be, because most of the Northern Hemisphere companies will be tucking up to bed soon, ready for Christmas, and then come out. Sorry?
Next week will be urban mobility vehicles.
Could be. No, you've got to get it right, Louis. They're advanced air mobility now. They used to be UAM. They're now advanced air mobility. And then I read that other. What was that other? Was it CTOL? It was cargo something. I don't know. There's another one. There's always acronyms.
As long as they have some blockchain and AI included.
Did we see the AI ship that's leaving to sail across the Atlantic? Sailing ship that's going off all by itself. Yeah, I'll invite Bobby. Bobby's been on before. We know Bobby Richard. Don't worry. All right, let's go.
Something that is 400 years old, right? It started with a guy. No, more than that. It started some bearded northern guys called Vikings, and then a guy called Columbus. We have a few. Oh, a lion is outside. Is that a lion?
Viking navigation, did you say? That's what I've been teaching the kids. Viking navigation. And the Vikings were flipping clever. They actually put villages in places where they knew if they maintained a heading, they would hit land again. And their biggest track was 2,500 kilometers from a village they built as a navigational starting point. Let's build the village here, go west from here, 2,500 k's, you'll hit something. It's bloody clever. Yes, Viking navigation using cardboard and a match and some press stick or blue tack, depending on where you are.
Now we have all these computers that won't work if the GPS goes down. So how will that autonomous ship will navigate to the other side if the GPS goes down?
Because it will hold up a robot arm and put a shadow with a match and a bit of blue tack on a line that it's drawn. That'd be a fun experiment, wouldn't it? Get a robot to create all sorts of, to build navigational tools for itself. And they had those crystals, I'm getting on my high horse now, that only refracted at a certain latitude. So they knew they were on that latitude because of the refraction of light inside the thing. I can't remember what they called those. They're bloody clever people. Right, we're definitely ranting. We're definitely going off topic. Cheerio all. See you next week. Go on, last one then.
Oh, well, no, that's fine.
Oh,
I was just talking about, I was flying today, just before we go. So talking about GPS and misbehaving, I was flying today and I was in congested area and I was really suffering where the drone was and where it was actually thinking it was a good 10 meters away. You know, when you're around buildings with GPS, guys, just remember, double check where it thinks it is, because you get all the signal issues. It's a nightmare. Just watch out for that.
5 years, no one will use GPS. They'll just say, "Oh, you're in England." You use the GPS to know you're in England. That's all. All right, cheerio. 2100 GMT next week. Look after yourselves, everyone. Cheers, Bye-bye.
Bye.